So this is the first episode of the Lo and Behold podcast, and I'm so excited about it. So for all of you who are watching, I'm glad that you're here, and I'm very glad to be able to invite and have on my first guest of the Lo and Behold podcast. And since it's Mother's Day, I figured there's no better opportunity than to have your first guest be mom. So, everybody, this is my mother, Lydia Williams, Evangelist Lydia Williams, and I'm so glad that you are here. Welcome,
Mhm.
Mom.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate this. Mhm.
Of course, of course. So, just so you all are aware, my mother is a worship leader. She did that for many, many years. So, we're going to talk a lot about that and dig deep into that. She also did some acting. I remember we did a lot of days at the
Mhm.
theater.
Mhm.
So, she did a lot of that. She is a prophetess. She can definitely speak a word from God. She can definitely see what's going on. And of course, she's a mom and a glow ma, which is I heard is the new term for grandma.
Yes.
Glow ma. All right. So the Lo and
Right.
Behold podcast is the space for
Mhm.
gospel music, worship music. It is definitely the space where you can come and get your gospel news updates and also to be able to get some tips and tricks on worship leading and all things just
Mhm.
singing and church and you name it. That's what we're talking about. So we may or may
Mhm.
not get very churchy here in this podcast. So if you ain't been to church in a while, welcome. She
Right.
is also the host of her own show, and she'll talk about that. There'll also be links in the description, and you'll see that at the bottom of your screen as well, of her own show on Facebook that you can go check out. It's a Bible study that I think you will really enjoy if you want to dig deep into the Word of God, be able to discuss, leave comments, ask questions. That's definitely the perfect place to do that. So, Mom, why don't you start? You can tell them a little bit about yourself, especially with your podcast and your content and exactly what you do.
Well, yes, as you know, as Mr. Lawrence had mentioned, I am his mother. I
Hmm.
have been a single parent, raising four children, and it blesses me to know that my children also follow the Lord, as I had, led them, kept them in church, and they, seen me just worship and praising God. And pretty much how I got started in praise and worship is that I was part of a church. And at the time, I wasn't thinking about church. And you guys were like really young. And someone asked me to come to church with them. And and I was like, okay, I'm not doing anything at the time. I was just had all of you. I forgot where I was going, and I had the you and Celeste in the stroller, and so that following Sunday, I went to church with her. She's a friend of the family, sister-in-law. And so from that day on, and that's when I fell in love with God even more. God has been calling me before, but I have been running away a long time from the calling to God. But when I said yes that day, and that's when the ministry came to me full force at that time. So, and to be able to see my children pick up what they've been taught and what they and the opportunities they've been given in the church, it is wonderful to see.
It's interesting that you say that because
Mm-hmm.
on my podcast, I talk about this
Mm-hmm.
how for a long time, I did not want to be a worship leader. That was the last thing I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And in part because, right, I seen so many people in my family and I
Mm-hmm.
seen, right, worship leading up close. And we're going to talk about this a little bit, but worship leading is more than just
Mm-hmm.
singing. It is everything from
Mm-hmm.
leading a group of people. It is pastoring in a way where you are shepherding a flock. So you got to deal with people and their emotions. And then, of course, it's a spiritual battle, right? Because you will
Mm-hmm.
definitely get your attacks from the enemy. And so the last thing that I wanted to be was a worship leader, and I was very comfortable being in the background or even not at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then lo and behold, of course, a
Mm-hmm.
few years later, there I am leading worship. So it's interesting that you say that.
Mm-hmm.
When you decided to get back to church, and you decided to take us to church. At what point did you realize that maybe music or singing or leading worship was the place where God called you to be? Because I feel like many people, they say,
Hmm.
I feel like God is leading me back into church, and then they get back to church and they have a hard time finding their place. So how did
Hmm.
you know your place was worship leading?
Well, it's interesting, that you asked that question. So even I started off with praise and worship, so I didn't want to do it either. I really didn't. I really wanted to stay in the background, and I'm watching those, that were leading praise and worship. I'm like, they were doing a really good job. And so
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be a part of that crowd. So I
Oh
wanted
yeah.
to be a part of that, just stay in even if I, stay in the background. But the opportunity came when one of the members, the pastor at the time, he chose her. So
Okay.
I was never a first choice to lead praise and worship. And I never really thought about it and didn't like freak out about it. So when that person started doing praise and worship, she just could not do it. She just knew that she was fearful. She didn't like standing up in front of people. She didn't like doing it, but he kept her in that position. So when she left the church is when I was approached and said, well, would you like to do praise and worship? So I said yes. And it took off after that. The
Mm.
one thing that I tell people is that when you're not the chosen one, you're actually being prepared to
Right.
step in that role. One reason is because of your humbleness, and God
Mm.
works really well. Greatness come from humble people.
Mm-hmm. No, that's
Yeah.
so true. And I've seen that in many positions where I feel like I've been passed up, maybe for a
Mm-hmm.
role or for an opportunity, only to find myself months later. It's like all of
Yes.
that time I could have been
Yes.
soaking in the fact that I had to wait. God was
Mm-hmm.
preparing me to be able to take on exactly and do exactly
Yes.
what he wanted me to do, which of course, always for people who are like that, you
Mm-hmm.
find yourself God taking you further than you
Yes.
thought that you can go, and that
Yes.
it probably would have went in the hands of the other person anyway. All
Yes.
right, because of your
Yeah.
humbleness and your faithfulness. So that's
Yes.
that's really good. Okay, I want to get into a little bit of fun questions
Okay.
before we get back to the deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know, because this is a gospel. This podcast is all about gospel. Who is your number one artist right now? Who are you listening to?
My number one artist right now is CC Winans.
Of
I
course,
I've listened to CC Winans before you even was born.
of course. And before my fellow, I love y'all, my white people found out about her. No, we
Isn't
we
that
was listening
something?
to Welcome to the Throne Room, and what
Oh
was
my
the
Lord. Yeah.
what was that?
Yeah.
What the album? I don't know if it was
In,
before
in
or
his
after
in his
that.
present, that was like
In
his
his
first,
presence, yep, alone in his
was a
presence,
first.
and
Mm-hmm.
then
Mm-hmm.
Purified.
Yes.
That was a
Mm-hmm.
good album too.
Yes.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Percy Beatty was definitely writing a lot of her
So
records.
surely was, surely was. And and I tell you, I choose CC Wines because she captures uh praise and worship. It's
Hmm.
it's sad that many don't know the distinguish how to distinguish praise and worship. They are
Right.
definitely two different things. So she she
Yes.
she captured it where
Hmm.
where you feel included. So when
Yeah.
she's
Yes.
singing the songs that she sings, those that write the songs for her, it just, to me, it captivates her audience to the point where if she stops singing, her audience gonna continue to sing, and she'll
Yeah.
just join with the audience. And
She does
and
have that effect.
it's that's beautiful. That's praise and worship. Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that I obviously like about CeCe Winans is, first of all, she's just a vocal powerhouse. And
Yes.
so when she's singing, sometimes you don't even want to sing. Like you just want to listen to her.
Mm-hmm.
Like at least with me, every time I'm listening to one of her records, it seems
Yeah.
like most of everybody else, I'm doing all they ad libs, I'm doing all they runs, I'm adding my own stuff. But when I'm
Yeah.
listening to somebody like CC Winans, almost
Uh-huh.
like when you're listening to Whitney Houston, right?
Yes.
You're
Mm-hmm.
not going to be trying to do Whitney Houston ad libs. You are listening. Like you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
glean information. You're trying to glean knowledge and skill
Mm-hmm.
from, who is considered one of the greats. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm not surprised that CC Winans is your top artist right now because you have been
Yeah.
listening to CC Winans for a
A
long
long time.
time,
Mm-hmm.
which is why I personally love CC Winans and I still
Yes.
listen to her today. And she has really broken out, in the
Mm-hmm.
contemporary Christian music world with a lot of the covers that
Yes.
she's done of these contemporary Christians, which has
Mm-hmm.
really not only bridged the gap
Mm-hmm.
between right white audiences and black audiences,
Yes.
but it made because there's a number of artists that does that, but
Yes.
it has also made the contemporary Christian music or some of those
Mm-hmm.
records because she's singing it, it
Right.
has given permission to a lot of black churches to sing it. Mix it up,
Correct.
definitely add a little bit more gospel to it. But
Correct.
it feels, with somebody like her singing a lot of those songs,
Mm-hmm.
it feels right that we sing that, at a black
Yes.
gospel church on Sunday morning now. And I
Yes.
really like that.
So so many people they don't know that Whitney Houston and CeCe Winans, they were all they were road buddies. So
Yes.
Whitney Houston did a lot of her backgrounds in her earlier performances and recordings. So you can
Mm-hmm.
hear CeCe, and it came to the point where some of they sound the same, but
Mm-hmm.
then again, after a while, you'll be able to distinguish the difference
Mm-hmm.
between the two, and so they've been uh, amazing. So that's pretty
Yes.
when fell in love with Whitney Houston. So when I
Mm-hmm.
began to sing songs, CC Winans, Whitney Houston, I sometimes back in the day I felt like I was that person. And I would try to imitate them, and sometimes you will learn how to even sing a song or trying to get the melody and the right notes
Mm-hmm.
to it when you imitate another artist.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
one of the things that I talk about up on this podcast is that my like first memories of music
Mm-hmm.
has to do a lot with us riding in the car
Yes.
and having those albums on repeat. And
Yes.
because they were on repeat, right, I was
Yes.
able to learn and pick up every note, every nuance, every
Yes.
ad lib, and really figure that out. And because we
Yes.
listen to a broad array of
Yes.
gospel music and gospel
Mm-hmm.
artists, it's now very easy for me to connect. Like when I hear Eric Dawkins on a
Yeah.
on a record, even if his name is not listed, I know it's
Yeah.
Eric
You know.
Dawkins.
You know it's
I
in
know
there.
he produced that. Like I can listen to a gospel record and be like, okay, that's Warren Campbell. This is my
Okay.
block. This is a
Uh
my
huh.
block record, or this is because
Even
you
before
you
they say it. Even
even
before they.
before they say
Yep.
it,
Yep.
even before
Mm-hmm.
they say it, before they even mention the thing. And I know if there's an artist right now signed to my
Mm-hmm.
block, right, I know
Mm-hmm.
Eric Dawkins gonna have his hand on it somewhere because he's just that talented, he's just that good, and they always work together. But they
Right.
have a sound that you come to know because,
Yes.
right, I was constantly hearing it and I was
Yes.
constantly really really listening to it. And then what you get from that is not only the ability to
Yes.
sing their song,
Uh
but you
huh.
get the ability and the confidence to really sing any song, in your own way for you to reimagine it. Not that you will be
Yeah.
them, and that's not the focus. Like you can appreciate people
Right.
without wanting to be them.
Right.
But then you
Mm-hmm.
just say, this is how I can do it differently in the song that I am singing or that I am
Right.
leading.
Right. So the one thing that I try and to make sure that I didn't get the big head of anything. And you mentioned that at the beginning of this recording, just because you have a beautiful voice, God can give anybody with a
Right.
beautiful voice. Beyonce got a beautiful
Amazing voice.
voice. Amazing. Michelle Williams, she has an
Oh,
amazing,
yes.
amazing. Look, what was her name? Dion, what's her name? Uh, I forgot.
Don't get me saying Deion Sanders. I think that's an
No,
NFL
I
player.
forgot. She was wonderful. She was wonderful singer, but
I
she
didn't know he
hasn't.
talking about she was married to the baseball player.
She's beautiful. No, this one, she was if I could think of her name is on the tip of my tongue. So anyway,
Hmm.
beautiful, beautiful voice, and even Taylor Swift, nice
Right.
voice. But see,
It's,
Well, okay. Well, and there are other artists, even in the secular, they you have beautiful
Right.
voices. However, voices that were gifted for ministry work is
Right.
totally different
Totally different.
from those that are gifted. That's why sing within your genre.
Right.
If ministry is your genre, then God would equip you with
Mm-hmm.
with the anointing. That's another thing that needs to be talked about. Is that just because you can sing, but you don't have the anointing, you no,
Mm-hmm.
then you're just edifying yourself and not edifying those around you.
I have been
Yeah.
to a number of churches already in my life where it's
Mm.
like amazing singers.
Yes.
I mean, can run
Wonderful.
circles around me
Yes.
and ain't got no power.
No.
No
No.
power.
No.
Mm-mm.
I ran into that. I ran into it a lot. One of the things that that does bother me is that when I go into a church and I come, I want to become a part of a church. I hate sitting on the bench. Put me in the game, coach. I'm that
Mm-hmm.
type of person. Because I've been raised that way. When you part of a church, you're part of a group. Everybody got to pitch in to do something. But
Right.
in the areas that you are good in, where God equipped you from, and where you need to be, He will find a way to put you there.
100%.
And so people, and what people would do, even in the church, the minute you open up your mouth to sing, they tremble,
Mm-hmm.
because many immediately they will identify your gift.
Right.
And in those times, people will look upon your gift very fearful. So yeah, so they won't let you take a mic. They won't let you sing on this day, and they won't have you get involved because of the anointing that you have upon your life. First of
Mm-hmm.
all, and the gift that God has given you go hand in hand with that anointing is so powerful. So because of that, you're humble, because you are a humble person, Lawrence. Humble
Mm-hmm.
person. That's why you got doors that's open up for you. I was the same way. Doors was just opening up for me. And so there were times even I would get in my head that, people don't like me. People don't want me to do this. They don't want me to sing with them. And I would hear it plainly. It is the anointing that God has upon your life, because
Mm-hmm.
once you pick up that mic, people would know the difference if you're anointed
100%.
or not. Oh, 100% if you're anointed or not. And because you don't do it for show, you don't do it for
Mm-hmm.
personal gain, that means less of you and more of him
And more of him.
and more of him. And that's where your success come in.
And what I like about that is, and this is something that I've learned too, is that God has a way of hiding those and keeping those. I hate to use the word contamination,
Mm-hmm.
but we have a way to walk into spaces and want to use our gifts, and then
Mm-hmm.
our gifts get pimped,
Yeah.
or we are
Yeah.
touching unclean things.
Yes.
And so we become contaminated. And
Yes.
then next thing you know, like we end up in a position where we are in crowds, or we are around people, or we
Mm-hmm.
are getting too close to people who God is trying to reach,
Yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
you muddy in the waters too
Yeah.
much. You
Mm-hmm.
muddy in the waters too much. So I've
Right.
learned that in some cases,
Mm-hmm.
God would definitely have you in the place, but
Yes.
you will be hidden. And that is for a reason. It's
That
because
is definitely. Mm-hmm.
there is some time, there's an appointed time for you, but there's somebody that you need to reach that
Yes.
will be unreachable
Yes.
if you too close.
That
If
is
you too
true.
close. And it's
True.
important, I think, as singers, as musicians, and just people who are called and are operating their gift, that
Uh-huh.
just be careful who you get too close to.
That is
You got to
true.
be careful, because again, it's not that they're a bad person, is it's not
Right.
any of that, but it's just you
Mm-hmm.
are contaminating spaces that God is trying to feel in
Yeah.
your life, and you are
Yes.
putting people in places where God is trying to sit, God is trying to
Right.
dwell, God is trying to
Right.
work on you on. And so
That is
then you
true.
end up 10 years down the line, and you're asking God, change my heart, clean my heart. And he's like, I've been
Mm-hmm.
trying to do that, but your friend. I've been trying to do that, but your addiction. I've been
Yes.
trying to do
Mm-hmm.
that, but all of the
Yes.
stuff that you are trying to put in place
Yes.
except me. So it's
Yes.
not a bad thing. And
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm guilty of that too, obviously. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of put me in the game. Put me in the game. But
Yes.
I have learned that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes sitting and being hidden
Yes.
is the best case scenario,
Yes.
because then when it's your time to shine,
Yes.
you see exactly why God had
Yes.
you hidden. Because had you been
True.
exposed
Yes.
during that time, then
Yes.
you could have faced the catastrophe. You could have been wiped
Yes.
out with everybody else and with everything else.
When I go into churches and I see, I can sit back and listen to some good praise and worship, and I tried my best to make sure that I'm not making it all about me, because I can sit back, anybody can sit back and say, oh, they didn't do that one. They note wrong. They going flat over here and they do. If I'm coming in the way that I am, and I'm looking for my spirit to be lifted. Bigfoot can be on the stage and singing, and then he come up with a song, and then we all just raising our hand,
Hmm.
because that's just the flow that you yourself have to walk right in, walk right in. But yeah, I've seen some praise and worships that I just want to pick up a mic and say, okay, y'all can sit down now. I'm ready
Please,
for the preacher. Go ahead and bring the
please.
preacher up.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And this is another question. This is not even on my list, but
Yes.
I do want to play a game with you where we're going to choose between singers.
Okay.
But how long is long enough for a worship set?
In the middle of praise and worship, God has another plan,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to be in tune with that. So if you don't have the gift of discernment to know when to shut it off or when to keep going, I don't know what to tell you,
Mm-hmm.
because it'll take the Holy Spirit within you to know when to allow the Holy Spirit to have his way. So you can get one song, and then next thing you got a room or a whole building of people just praising God. Let that flow. Let that go. Don't
Mm-hmm.
enter. We grew up saying this, and it's in the Bible. Uh, don't grieve the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
When the Holy Spirit has this way, you want to have this way, you get out the way and let the Holy Spirit just do it. To bring it back in the focus, that's your overseer. Your
Mm-hmm.
overseer would discern to say, okay, you guys are going too far. Now y'all got to cut it off. The overseer should be able to give you indications or signals to say, okay, wrap it up.
I
Because,
think,
mm-hmm,
yeah, I would agree with that. And I think for
mm-hmm,
me, that time mark is 20 minutes.
yeah,
If we
mm-hmm,
are not drowned in the spirit, well, first of
yeah,
all, if if nobody is being moved, if all of you're doing is just acting on the stage,
get off the
don't do
stage.
that. Just bring the
Get off.
pastor up.
Yep.
I don't need praise and worship. I listen to the
Yep.
radio on my way in. So I
Mm-hmm.
already got my praise out.
See, and
So
you know,
if you're just up there to act and
yeah,
to not be real and authentic and not allow, right, God to be the star of the show,
yeah,
then I just don't need it.
right.
But in the case that you are, I think shooting for that 20-minute mark,
That 20-minute mark.
is
Mm-hmm.
really good. I
Yes.
went to one church one time, and I wasn't there leading worship. I was
Yeah.
there doing a special selection for the pastor, like after his message. But
Okay.
anyways, the worship team got up and they did a worship set, and that worship set lasted 45
I
minutes.
would have left.
I was
I would
this
have
close.
left.
I'm like, if I didn't already
I
get
would have
my
left.
check, I would have been in my car. But since I already got my check, it looked like I got to stay. But I'm like,
Oh,
there is no, and like by a good 20 minutes into this
yeah.
45-minute
Oh,
set,
yeah.
people just weren't interested. Like there were people sitting down,
Yep.
like nobody was engaged
I would have
in what
left.
was happening. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
as a worship leader,
Mm-hmm.
yes, your focus needs to be here, right, to
Yeah.
God, because you are lifting God up. But
Right.
if you can't look down and see, right, everybody is starting to sit down, people
Yep.
tired, we done already danced,
Yep.
then like
You need to get off. I
you
would have
got to
cut
be,
you.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah, you gotta
this
be
is
doing
what.
something else.
Then yeah. So my suggestion in that part is to the your pastor, your overseer has to look at the people in the sound booth and say, "Cut the mic, cut that
Please.
mic off."
Or just jump up. Just jump up.
Yep.
I've been to churches like that too, where
I think
if we're
yeah.
going over time leading
Yep.
worship, the pastor
Oh,
would just get up.
that was Pastor Huff. You remember
Yep.
Pastor Huff? Pastor
Yep.
Huff would get up. Pastor
Yeah.
Samuel Huff would get up. Then he would just bless the Lord.
Bless the Lord.
Hallelujah.
Lift your hands, give
Hallelujah.
God
Yeah,
praise.
yeah. Then you got to sit your
You got to
behind
sit
down.
down. It's
Yep.
done.
And then, yeah, so if your overseer has to do that, yes, yes. It doesn't take 40, 45 minutes for
Mm-mm.
to usher God in to your service. You
Which, by
start.
the way,
Mm-hmm.
you should be already there before
You
the
should be
service
already
starts.
there.
And I feel like a lot of times worship teams, they get up and
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to get in the presence of God
Uh-huh.
first. And then they're
Don't
trying to
tr-
get us to follow. And it's like, no,
Wait
no,
a minute.
no.
I gotta
You should
watch
have been
you.
there.
I
Right.
gotta watch you try to usher up
Right.
in the presence of God.
So now you getting yours and then you leading us into a place. And it's
Yeah.
really, sometimes it's a matter of you're trying to take me to a place that you have never
Didn't
been
been, you've never been. And
or you are not now.
yeah.
And I need you to just get that together just before you get on. That way, as soon as
Yeah.
you get on, you already hot. You are
Yep.
already burning. I can feel it. I can sense it.
Yep.
And I'm just ready to be taken up. I came here to
Yep.
praise, you know?
And that comes from people who don't know the Lord, who don't spend
Mm-hmm.
time in front of God, who don't pray, who don't read their Bible. You can tell
Mm-hmm.
they do none of that. So that
Right.
means when you coming up on that, you calling the stage. Please stop calling these platforms stages.
The stage.
They're not a stage. You
You know,
want to do
I've
your performance. I've been on the stage. I've been in the
right.
theater. That atmosphere, that's a stage because
Mm-hmm.
we're acting out. You want to
Right.
be authentic. These are called altars, or you can call them
Mm-hmm.
platform. Because remember, you're on the altar and
Right.
you're sacrificing unto God too.
Right, that part.
Yes.
I realized as a side note that that is definitely a
Mm-hmm.
white church or black church thing. Like
Yes, it
what we
is.
call black church.
Yes.
When I remember the first time like I got to
Mm-hmm.
a white church
Mm-hmm.
and they were like, was that you on stage? Because it was a big church. Was they're like, was that you on stage? Are you going on stage? And I'm like, where's the stage?
Where's the
I'm like, I don't
stage?
know, because in the black church, you never call it a
The
stage. If you
stage. We
call it a
never call it the
stage, we
stage.
all leaving. This thing need to be
Thank
torn
you.
down.
Then I already
Okay,
know it's all about you. I want my money back on these
I
tickets you
want
done
my money
sold me.
back. I didn't. I don't remember paying when I came in, but I
Right.
want it back. That tithes and offering, that may have been it. Come on, I want it back.
Right. I want it back.
If this is a stage,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, in black church we call it a platform, or you call it an
Yes.
altar, or you just
Yes.
say up front.
Up
That's
front.
you up
Mm-hmm.
front. But
Mm-hmm.
you don't say stage. But definitely at most white churches at least that I've been to, especially the larger
Yes.
they are, the more likely they are to call it a stage. And the
Yes.
thing is, it really does start to make sense when you
Yes.
realize, and like you stand on those platforms and you'll look up and it
Yes.
looks just like it does at the theater,
Yep.
just like it
Mm-hmm.
does at the
Yep.
theaters that you act at.
Yep.
Like
Mm-hmm.
it's got the lights, it's got the drapes, it's got
Yes.
the all of the settings. Like people
Yes.
go through and take time to put all of that together, so it definitely starts to feel like a
Yes.
stage.
Yes.
But the problem that we tend to have is that the people who occupy that space treat it as a
Mm-hmm.
stage instead of
Correct.
a platform, and even more so, instead of an altar.
Right. And
Instead
because
of when we look at it
right.
as an altar, you are leading people into an atmosphere of worship. You have to be
Correct.
there and you have to take it seriously,
You
because
do.
I believe that God takes it seriously. The thing that I,
Right.
I used to say, and I know this is not true. I know this is not true. But
Mm-hmm.
the one thing that used to always scare me, Pastor Huff, you mentioned him earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I think he told a joke one time,
Mm-hmm.
and he said something like, if you get up there and you sing and you're not for real, God will strike you down, or something like it was a joke. It literally, he was not saying it for real. But anyways,
Yeah.
I remember I was little when he said
Mm-hmm.
that. So I took it very seriously. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking, if you get up there and you are inauthentic, or you are not serving God correct, God will strike
Mm-hmm.
you down in front of everybody. So we go all be sitting here in
Because
that lightning.
and, You know what? So that's basically metaphorically, but yes,
Right,
yeah.
right.
So, but spiritually, when you're up there, I mean, you have to, you have to understand. Yes, you're up there where the whole world can see, where the congregation is watching you. So now you become a leader. So now
Mm-hmm.
you become that one that's leading, guiding those. You pointing those you everybody else to God. So we are looking to you to point us to God. So we're looking
Mm-hmm.
at you as you have a connection unto God. When you don't have no connection, no anointing, no Holy Ghost in you, no nothing, no discernment, no nothing. Yeah, you just on the stage. So
Mm-hmm.
we just gotta watch you perform. You probably sound great. I'm quite sure
Right.
you sound great.
But we didn't
But
come here for that. Not on
yeah,
my day off. Not on my day off. If the company is sponsoring this
because
event, I can stay here all the time y'all want me to,
because
but
that's a paid event.
a
Now
paid
you
event.
come. Now you going somewhere free will on
Mm-hmm.
yourself on your own volition, going somewhere because now you in a mind space, you in a spiritual place where you need some connection from God. You got 6 more days to get through. And
Right. Right.
the one day you come to be
Mm-hmm.
close to the saints, the body of Christ to come together, and you all want to come one accord to worship God. That's all I want to know. Lord, where
Mm-hmm.
you at?
Where
Lead me
you
to
at?
God. Yeah, lead me to. But
Mm-hmm.
but I gotta sit here and watch somebody who wants to try to hit that high note, and they hit that note that breaks your
That low
tooth right.
note.
Trying to be cute and whatever.
Uh-huh.
I'm not. I can't do it no more. I
No.
can't do. I'm very vocal
No.
about it. And
It's not
then
worth it.
and then we ain't gonna get about these clothes attires that most folks
Mm-hmm.
wear. So when I'm coming up in the church, they was teaching us that for women we carry stuff of mass destruction, so
Mm-hmm.
we have to keep that covered. And
Yes.
when we on these platforms, we have to wear outfits that don't show our thighs or in the back of the legs, don't show the knees. That because the higher you going up on those platforms and the shorter your outfit is, I don't want to know you like that.
They see all up in there. But
I
nowadays, the
don't
good news is,
want to.
like, especially with talking to women, I'm noticing that
Yeah,
those conversations with like females on stage no longer
yeah,
need to be had. The bad news
yes.
is they're starting to have those conversations with the men
Isn't that
because
crazy? Isn't that
it's the
crazy?
dudes you walking in and it's
Yeah.
like, I know you got that from the baby gap, and I we don't need to see your
Why?
chest hair because that's not this kind of
Why?
show. And it's like,
And
why you wearing your son's jeans? Get back there and take them
I
off.
hate that. I hate that. You coming in, especially with men. What happened to grown men pants? The kind that came
Mm-hmm.
down to the feet.
Right.
That
Right.
that loosens up or whatever. Someone wear them
Mm-hmm.
so tight you can see all the curves and
All of it.
everything. That's
And
crazy to me.
it's one thing if you just like, oh, I
Hmm.
lost weight and I think I look good and I think I can fit into these because I have been there.
Uh huh.
After I lost all that weight,
Uh
I'm out
huh.
there buying new pants and I showed
That's
up for
fine.
Christmas and somebody had
Hmm.
to pull me off stage and say, "My brother, we understand you blessed, but we don't need to know you like that. Come on back here
Good.
now. I don't know what you're gonna
Good.
do, but just be back there
Good.
until you get it
Be-
together."
because just as well as the priests from the Old Testament, they had to be dressed when they coming
Right.
into the house of God. So they had to
Right.
be covered some kind of way. Some stuff had to be covered. They couldn't even come in, even if you just got your underwear on and you got one
Mm-hmm.
piece of garment. You couldn't come in the temple like that. You
Mm-hmm.
had to you had to be so covered because nothing should be hanging, swinging, peeping out,
Mm-hmm.
or nothing.
And
Got
now
you.
it's
Mm-hmm.
more about looking your best, presenting your best. So
Yes.
if
Mm-hmm.
what you showed up in is your best, that's fine. Like we
That's
can work with
fine.
that.
I
We
can
can
work
work.
with
We're
pants.
not turning
I can work
nobody
with
away
jeans.
because
Right.
you got jeans. We're not turning nobody away because
Mm-hmm.
your hat is to the back. We're not turning
Yep.
nobody away because you got words
Yep.
on your shirt. That's not.
Yep.
If your best is that, please
Yep.
bring it.
Yep.
but don't show up to work better than you show up for church,
That is true
especially
because
if you lead in worship. That's
the
all I'm
the
saying.
the goal is that you shouldn't let nothing on your body, what you're wearing, even not even your hairstyle, be a distraction of
Right.
what you there for. Keep it
Mm-hmm.
covered. Speaking of hair, there was one, video about the pastor. He was, talking about the men, those who wear the men bun and the
Man
ponytail.
buns. Really?
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
you know what? It was crazy. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
if you're able to grow your hair however long you want to grow it, grow it. I
Let
don't
them.
care.
Right.
Put it in the ponytail. You want it braided up. I think the braided up. I think, be, that stuff like that it does not bother me. How
Mm-hmm.
men, even the men, when you wear their hair, when you wear your hair, that don't bother me. But if you coming in with
Mm-hmm.
some crazy outdo. I mean, it's good for the theater. Leave it in the
Right.
theater. Leave it in the
Right.
theater. There's a sacredness when it comes to ministry. There's a holiness when it comes to ministry. When you want to distract from yourself, that's why I said it's less of me, God, and
Mm-hmm.
more of you. Do away with all that stuff and keep your focus on what praise and worship is supposed to be, and what it's supposed to do, what it's
Right.
supposed to do.
Right. That's
Yeah.
important. Okay. So I want to play this game
Let's go with this game.
as we wrap up. So
Yeah.
we're just comparing two artists.
Okay.
And the only rule to this game, so you have to choose one,
Okay.
right? So that's rule number one. And then two, there's a caveat. You can substitute one of the names for only
Okay.
one other artist. Okay.
Okay.
So in this category, we're talking about vocal power.
Okay.
Whose voice carries the most emotional weight? All right. In our female category, Mahalia Jackson
Mm-hmm.
or CC Winans?
Mahalia.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
Yep.
That's true.
She got that
That was
old
hard for
Southern
me.
gospel.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm not saying Cece is not authentic. It's just that
Right.
that
It's
that that down home, gut
mm-hmm.
wrenching
Flatfoot
gospel.
singing.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mahalia.
And
Mm-hmm.
it was really hard for me because obviously CC Winans has vocal power, obviously.
Yes. Obviously.
And I was like, am I choosing Mahalia Jackson because like she's Mahalia Jackson, like she's just
Uh-huh.
traditional. We've known her, like she's a
Mm-hmm.
legend,
Mm-hmm.
or what? But I don't know. I don't know. Anyways,
Yes.
so I chose her too. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
James Cleveland or
Mm-hmm.
Marvin Sapp?
I'm going to go with James Cleveland.
James Cleveland. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like those two are from different eras.
Correct.
Um, so is CC and Mahalia, but
Yeah.
James Cleveland and Marvin Sapp are from different eras.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know who I would substitute Marvin Sapp with. That would be in James Cleveland era.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah. So how
Okay.
about I substitute James Cleveland with Israel Houghton? So Israel Houghton or Marvin Sapp for vocal power.
I will go Marvin.
Marvin, yeah,
Yeah, I'll go
I'll
Marvin.
go with him too.
Mm-hmm.
Although for me, Israel Houghton is definitely a close second. He's a
You
very
know what
close
he
second.
is? He is.
Right.
He
Because
is.
he's not doing like the vocal acrobatics, let's say somebody like
Yes.
B Slade, formerly known as Tone, would be
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
But in terms of just vocal,
Mm-hmm.
that's a train. In
It's
terms
all
of
right.
just
Uh-huh.
vocal presence,
Yes.
like Israel Holt he can fill up a stage, he can fill up a room. And it's
Yes.
just, he's there. Okay.
Yeah.
Musical innovation. I like this one.
Okay.
And we're just comparing them to their particular time. So Shirley Caesar or Tasha Cobbs Leonard.
Yeah. Shirley Caesar.
Shirley Caesar.
Yeah, because Tasha, she's great. She's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
So she still got some work to put in, and
Mm-hmm.
and some of her music, I can. It just seems like they gravitating to something different than what she started with.
I
You
see.
know.
I think, and I think that's probably why I
Mm-hmm.
would name like of today.
Mhm.
Tasha Cobbs, and that's why I think this is
Mhm.
a good matchup because Tasha Cobbs
Mhm.
Leonard has definitely been so innovative in
Yes.
the gospel space, and
Yes.
she's been able to really go outside the gospel space
Yeah.
because of that innovation.
Yeah.
Um, but I can see what you're saying there in
Yeah.
that like one of the her biggest fallouts was having Nicki Minaj on one of her records.
And and I don't have a problem with any artist want to have a secular artist be a part of their project. The
Mm-hmm.
problem that I have is that if that secular artist tends to go back and do whatever raunchy stuff then the effort that they trying to make and trying to get somebody saved is just futile to me. And I'm
Right,
like,
right.
yeah.
Yep. And I think
So
that that's probably that's how most gospel consumers at least feel. It's just like
yeah.
we don't mind people singing gospel music, but it's when you
Mm-hmm.
start singing gospel music, sing gospel music, and then you can't do anything
Yeah.
else.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, yeah, I think Tasha Cobbs Leonard is definitely innovative. Like she is
Yeah.
changing the game when it comes to gospel music, and she's coming out
Yeah.
with more country stuff too. Got
Yeah.
country music and putting that
Mm-hmm.
gospel spin on it, which I really like. I think she sounds really
That's
good
the
with
good.
that.
That's the good thing about her that I do like that she
Hmm.
doesn't like sit in one kind of
No,
set of whatever. But if you for God, stay with God. I
say we
mean, if you
got
want to
right.
make a country gospel, I'm good.
Right. So you could change up the sound, but just don't change up
Yeah.
the message. And so I
Right.
think that's what most people are like. But no,
Yes.
yeah, it was
Yes.
hard for me, but I would probably go with Shirley Caesar as well, only because
She stayed the
like
same.
in her time,
Mm-hmm.
like Shirley Caesar was just I mean,
Yeah.
she
She
I
was
think
a
what Shirley
force.
what
Yeah.
Fantasia is to like my generation,
Mm-hmm.
Shirley Caesar
Yeah.
is to her generation. It's
Yes.
like this voice, this
Mm-hmm.
power, this what are you doing on stage? Oh my
Yep.
god. Like
And
it's like this it's not
had
we're
you
not used to that.
match up the two Shirley Caesar and Fantasia, I'm gonna choose Fantasia because
Fantasia?
Fantasia has a gift
Yes.
for ministry. If she could
Yes.
just be drawn back into ministry,
Well,
and
apparently she is.
but she better put some
Fantasia
clothes on when she do it.
I'm dead. That would
Put
help.
some clothes on. Yep, she need to put some clothes on
Apparently,
because she's right
Fantasia
there. She's
is going to
right
be
there.
releasing a gospel
Yep,
album
I heard that.
soon. So I'm interested to see who's writing for that. I kind of hope
Yes.
that it's Warren Campbell and
Uh
Eric Gar.
huh.
I hope it's My Block Records. But
Uh huh.
do we want her to sound like the Mary Marys, or do
Uh
we
huh.
want her to be more worshipy like the Tasha
Uh
Cobbs?
huh.
Like, is she choosing her own lane? I feel like that's the
No,
question. I'm excited to figure
she
it
has a lane that she's been blessed with, and she
out. Hmm.
shows it every time. You can tell she's from the church world.
Oh,
You can
100%.
tell. Oh yeah, then
Yeah,
that's
she
where
can't
she
help
need
that.
to stay. She can't help it. She can't,
She can't
and
help
that's
it.
the thing about God. When God sets something upon you, you
Hmm.
can't. I don't care where you go. That's going to
Hmm.
come through, no
Right.
matter what.
Okay,
All right,
here's a
who we
hard
got
one for
next?
you.
Okay.
Musical innovation,
Mm-hmm.
Kirk Franklin versus Fred Hammond.
Oh, I'm dead.
Yeah, this is a hard one for me. I still haven't been able to choose.
Okay, so I mean, it's like who came first, the chicken or the egg? I mean,
Right.
because both of them are just dynamic, and both of them
Hmm.
start off trying to be cute men, trying to be with the suave and everything. But when
Hmm.
they really got it together, then they really took off.
Yeah.
Now, yeah,
And
so
they were pushing the boundaries of
yes,
everything we thought gospel music was
correct,
and
correct.
still is today. Like they are still pushing
Uh
the
huh.
boundary.
And because for us old saints and for some of us who grew up the old way, we have to understand not everything is going to stay the same. Not
Right.
everything is going to be the same way all the time. And this is why we teach others. As soon as when you're coming into the gospel, we're looking for you to add to it. Don't take
Right.
away the foundation, but when you add to it, be careful how you add to it, because of course them old folks, they'll tell you, no, we ain't never sung it
We
that
ain't
way.
doing that.
We don't know that sound. We never heard that. Of course you never heard it. It's
Right.
new.
It's new. And they're singing to a new generation who, like, I think
Yes.
of millennials, right? In my
Yes.
case,
Mm-hmm.
we grew up listening to Fred Hammond. So Fred Hammond is like the foundation, right?
Yes.
James
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland, not so much. Now, I
Yep.
listen to James Cleveland because
Uh-huh.
I'm young, but I'm also old.
Yeah.
So I like James
Uh-huh.
Cleveland. I like
Yes.
his music. But what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying is, right, when I'm in my 60s, it's
Yes.
gonna be let's play Fred Hammond. Like that's
Yep.
gonna be the classic for
Mm-hmm.
my generation
Yep.
and not right James
Yep.
Cleveland. So yeah, that was
Mm-hmm.
hard for me. I think for
Mm-hmm.
me, I would have to choose though
Mm-hmm.
Fred Hammond.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to choose Fred Hammond because Fred Hammond only because Fred Hammond's music, while it is innovative, while it is
Yes.
changing gospel,
Yes.
you can sing it in church
Yes.
and people
What?
know
I
who you're
get it.
talking about.
I get it.
And people know who you're talking about. You can
I
sing it
get
in
it.
church. You can
Yes.
sing Lord of the Harvest, and it's got that bass
Yes.
line, right? That whole album, right?
Yep.
Speak
Mm-hmm.
those things. It has the
Yep.
bass lines that you hear in secular music, that you hear in
Yeah.
R&B music, but you can sing that in church and people will
You
jam
can sing
out.
it. Mm-hmm.
And there are some
Yes.
some great like Kirk Franklin songs that
Mm-hmm.
I will blast on the radio all day, but I
Yep.
can't get up and lead that for worship. That doesn't fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't know who we're talking about.
He also need to put some clothes on.
He could use more clothes. He could use more clothes.
Put some clothes on.
So,
I
but just send me
yeah.
where his PO box at. Maybe I can send some up to some of my old stuff.
I be like, we just cross. It's horrible how some people just try to push that line just so far.
But
You know,
he
I still love him. He's still
the
my
thing
boy.
I love him too. But the thing
Mm-hmm.
about Kirk Franklin that I feel like we
Mm-hmm.
could talk about like this is a whole podcast in
Yep.
that Kirk Franklin, like Jamal Harrison Bryant,
Yeah.
has literally grown up
Yeah.
in this light.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So the
Literally.
things that
Mm-hmm.
everybody were able to do at 20 and 21 and 22,
Mm-hmm.
right? Kirk Franklin was already in the spotlight at that
He sure
time.
was.
And
He at,
so
when he came
you,
out, he was the
he
youngest
was the
to
youngest.
to change what gospel music is doing. Oh,
Hmm.
but they wanted to shun him from the
They
church.
wanted to do that. And so, like, while his
Mm-hmm.
music was changing things, he tried to
Mm-hmm.
keep his dress the same.
Uh
And
huh.
so he wasn't dressing like if you look at all the pictures from, his early albums, yeah, he was
Yes.
flashy, he was cool,
Yeah.
but like he looked like Pops,
Yeah.
and now he trying to look like Son.
Yeah.
And it's
But
like,
he
but
need to
Kirk
stop.
Franklin, you have graduated from
You
Son, sir.
graduated.
You are now Pops.
You can wear clothes. Yeah, you can wear clothes now. Put some clothes
So I feel
on.
like he's one of those people who's literally grown up in this. We have
Uh
seen him
huh.
had to mature in the public eye, and
Yeah.
so it's not like he's doing anything that's new to him because this is
Right.
this is stuff that he's probably wanted to do for long, but it's just new
Yeah.
to us. It's now
Yeah.
we can see
I
it.
I think when you grew up in the church for so long and doing church things and stuff like that, you feel like you miss certain parts of you growing up or
Yes,
part of your life. Now you in the space where you thinking you can try to grab that back and
right.
incorporate into what you're doing. I'm like, it doesn't mix anymore. It
It
doesn't it
doesn't mix
doesn't work.
anymore. But who go
Yeah.
tell him, Kurt Franklin, I'm not inviting you out no more?
He
I mean,
coming.
he's still selling out,
I want him at my
stadiums.
cookout. Thank you.
Yes,
I want
yeah,
him at
he's
my
still selling
cookout.
out stadiums. So there
Yes.
ain't gonna be nobody to be like, we're not gonna pay you
Right.
no more. Oh, he don't need your
Right.
check, sir. Matter of
Right.
fact, he got a
Thank
check for
you.
you.
He got a check for you. And he's
So
he's
yeah,
very forthcoming with his life, with what happened in his past,
yes,
and how he's
mm-hmm.
moving forward. And it was amazing to see him. Even you listen, just because you're part of a church, you in the ministry like that doesn't mean you're not human. You are human.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Who
go
next?
to worship experience. Right,
Okay.
whose music brings people closest to God? Well, I shouldn't ask it that way,
Hmm.
but who just gives you that worship experience? Tasha Cobbs Leonard or Yolanda Adams?
Um. I'm gonna lean towards Tasha. I would have
Tasha,
said Yolanda,
Yolanda.
but Yolanda's losing some of her momentum
No,
to
but see,
me.
the thing is
Hmm.
though, I when I first saw this question, I immediately chose Tasha Cobbs Leonard,
Hmm.
but then I thought about Yolanda Adams' Live in Washington record.
Yeah, that was amazing.
What better worship? Come on now, like she was
That
on
was
fire the
amazing.
whole night,
Yeah.
and when we listen to her records, like post that, even
Mhm.
with the record she put out with Mary and My Block, who
Yeah.
produced that, like it was still like it took you into a worship atmosphere.
Yeah.
And so it's like she has it, like
Mhm.
she definitely has it, but she may not be as prominent. Not, I shouldn't say prominent, because she's a legend. She's literally a living legend,
She's
and there
literally
is
a
not
legend.
one
Mhm.
person who sings who don't know who Yolanda Adams is.
Right.
That being said, I feel like in the space of leading worship,
Mhm.
people would probably have Tasha Cobbs as their
Tasha,
top
yes.
pick and not
Mhm.
Yolanda Adams.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So,
it's
yep.
not
Okay.
because, not because she's, old school or nothing like that. It's just because
No
it's just that when your music start taking on a different kind of persona or route,
tone
yeah,
category.
it's just like, well, that I'm not used to her like that,
Like
or
that.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And when
Yeah.
she put out that single, Be Still, Just Be Still and Know I Will
Yeah.
Never Leave Yours. When she
I
put
was
out that single, which was like
mhm.
however many years from the last music that she had put out, I thought that that was pushing the boundaries for her.
Yeah.
That song has sounded very differently
Yeah.
than, the
I
Yolanda Adams.
I I I, I like the song, but it
Mhm.
seemed like more and more she's gravitating on some other kind of, yeah, like you say, music tone, music
Mhm.
atmosphere that just something. It's just when you borderline coming out of churchy, now you borderline back into the secular world. I'm like, which
Mhm.
who are you trying to capture, and
Well, the
how are you
thing
trying to
is,
capture?
I feel like the Yolanda Adams today
Mm-hmm.
is the Yolanda Adams that she has always wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like that is the
Mm-hmm.
case when she had the record, um I've got the victory. What's the name of that?
Yeah,
I've got the
Victor,
victory.
Victor.
I got the, with
Yeah.
that album that song was on.
Mm-hmm.
I really felt like that's who she want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And every time we see her now, like
Mm-hmm.
at the Stellar Awards or wherever where she is performing or she gets
Yeah.
to sing,
Yeah.
she brings more of that out
Mm-hmm.
than she does the Yolanda Adams live in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of feel like to us it feels like a branding change,
Yeah. Yeah. I get where you're
and
going with
and
that.
it's sort of unfortunate because
Mm-hmm.
I think for
Yeah.
her, and I'm not putting words on her, I haven't seen any interviews of her saying this, but I feel
Mm-hmm.
like for her, she's
Mm-hmm.
like, this is who I've always wanted to be.
Okay.
Y'all just put me in that category up over there, and I sung
Okay.
it and I did it well, but this
Mm-hmm.
is actually who I always wanted to be.
Yeah.
So I
And
don't know.
and that's a shame when you think you got to sing for everybody else and you can't be who you want to
Hmm.
be. Yeah, that's Leandria Johnson, but we ain't gonna talk
Ah,
about
we ain't
her.
gonna talk about her. Okay, next one. So worship experience.
Yeah.
Marvin Sapp versus Travis Green.
I would say I'm leaning a little bit on Marvin Sapp because he
Same.
just, yeah, he can capture that experience. It's like he don't lose it.
Hmm.
He has it uh just a little bit better. And I love Travis Green. I
I
really
love
do.
Travis Green
He has
too,
his
and he
moments.
definitely can take you there
Yes.
into a worship atmosphere. I think the
Yes.
reason why I lean to Marvin Sapp is
Hmm.
number one, I'm very biased, and
Hmm.
and I really do like Marvin Sapp,
I do
and
too.
I
Hmm.
definitely try to channel Marvin
Hmm.
Sapp because Marvin Sapp is a singer and a preacher, and I
Exactly.
know me, I'm a singer
Yes.
and a
And a
preacher,
preacher. Hmm.
and Marvin Sapp has a way of being able to literally preach a sermon during the song.
Yep. Hmm.
And that's something that I
Yep.
always try to do. It's like,
Yep.
yes, we know you can
Yep.
sing,
Hmm.
right? You can only sing us so many
Yep.
songs
Hmm.
before you can't sing.
Right.
But during that song, especially a
Hmm.
worship song, a gospel song,
Hmm.
preach to me as well. Like,
Yep.
give me the word. And I feel like a lot
Yep.
of times our lyrics are trending towards, just common, everyday kind of
Yep.
church,
Hmm.
and
Yep.
not necessarily like Bible
Yep.
kind of
And
church.
that's what I,
And
yep. And that's what I
Marvin Sapp
said.
is definitely the
Hmm.
artist who will, in the middle of his song and during the whole song,
Yep.
preach
Yep.
and take you to a place. and then he goes there himself. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I hear him, up on his record, and I hear him break down and he cry, or he breaks
Mm-hmm.
down and he worshiped during the song, I'm like,
Yeah.
he's there. Like
Yes.
he's there.
Yeah, and that's what I had mentioned earlier. Some praise and worship leaders, when you don't know the word, you don't study,
Hmm.
you're going to be called to preach one day. So if all you know how to do is sing,
Hmm. Right. And
yeah,
and if all you can do is sing, please keep on at it.
yep,
But in this context, there are some singers out there. There are some artists out there who can literally preach and sing.
right,
And there are some, and I think it is a gift. It is a talent to be able to
mm-hmm,
do both of that.
yep,
Because for me, at least, it's hard for me to remember the words half the
uh
time. To
huh,
be honest with you, to the
to
song.
songs, yes,
So a lot of times when I'm preaching during the song, it's
mm,
because I don't know the words to the
yep.
song.
So that's how you recover.
So
You
I am
recover,
ad libbing. I am coming up with stuff. And people are like, oh
yeah,
boy, you're so anointed. I'm like, whatever song y'all just
yep.
sang, it was good. Because I was singing something else. But whatever y'all sang, hey, listen, it was all right with me.
And I wouldn't I wouldn't call it a bad thing. I just call you gifted because God is
Right.
equipping you with more than just
With
a pretty
more.
voice.
But if you are not a preacher, and everybody doesn't have to be, but if you are not a
Right,
preacher, then you don't know what to do in those situations where you don't know the song.
right. Then you can stay in the
So yeah,
background. We'll put you in the
yeah.
background with everybody. Yeah.
So crowd energy. Here's a good one.
Okay.
Who electrifies the audience the most? CC Winans or Tamala Man?
I would say CC.
CC.
Yep. Not
I will go. Oh,
because
go ahead.
cause,
I'm
cause,
sorry.
yeah, because Tamla Man, she's more she's awesome.
Hmm.
She's great, and so she can minister. Um, she is just one of those voices. That can lift you up. That can
Hmm.
can get you going. But it's just that when you sing it with Cece, you feel like you included.
You included. I see.
You're
I would
included.
say the same thing for Tamala Man
Mm-hmm.
for me.
Mm-hmm.
I would choose Tamala Man in this because
Mm-hmm.
she definitely has a way of
Mm-hmm.
getting the crowd like involved, and like she's just always going hard, um
Yes.
but not in a way that is distracting or make you feel like you can't be there. Like
Okay.
her voice
Right.
is amazing. Like
Right.
we've seen
Mm-hmm.
her on stage plays everywhere. Her voice is
Right.
amazing, so it's definitely like, oh my god, this is a powerhouse.
Yep.
That being said,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like with her, I never feel like I can't sing. I never feel
Mm-hmm.
like this is a solo. Like Kim
Yeah.
Burrell said, this is a solo. This is only for me.
Now that's a whole. Now she just being she messy. So we ain't
Yeah,
gonna
she's
we ain't
very
gonna get
messy at this
we ain't gonna
one.
get on her. So I like the dynamic of CC Winans because
Yeah.
CC Wine, as you hear her sing, girlfriend actually use words. She don't use a whole
Yes.
ton of ad libs to drown
Right.
out her song.
To genre of the song.
That's
Yeah,
what
that's
makes her
true.
song wonderfully where you can sing along and be included
And that's also what makes her able to effectively transition into the
effectively.
contemporary Christian space, because
Yes.
CCM music, there's not a
Yes.
lot of ad-libbing, right? The lead is usually singing
Yes.
along with the background, which by the way, I cannot stand.
Yeah.
I'm not
You
saying
know,
that I don't like contemporary Christian music. I'm just
listen.
saying a lot of times I want to hear those vocal dynamics, right? I
Yes.
want to hear that gospel. I want to know who to back up and who to lead.
True.
Who is
That is
Gladys
true.
and who is the fifth? I don't know. It's too muddy. The
Yes.
mix is too muddy.
And
So
yeah,
yeah.
what the first time I sung with you at a church, that was downtown Mosaic.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that was like one of the first things that you had told me that you had schooled me on is
Mm-hmm.
that they don't do all them ad libbings and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. Just sing the song straight. We've seen it. It's on the board. The words is right here. We're
Right.
gonna sing it the way it is. Don't add nothing. We don't
Right.
prolong it. We don't make it long and nothing like that.
I'm
Just
not
do,
that kind of
and we
singer.
sing it and we sing it as rehearsed. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'll follow the lead.
Mm-hmm.
I'll follow the lead.
I will
It's
definitely ad lib,
uh
even with
huh.
contemporary Christian, a
Yes.
lot. I
Mm-hmm.
ad lib. I go for broke. But I do always tell people, like, especially with their
Mm-hmm.
singing background, or if I haven't had enough time to rehearse with you,
Mm-hmm.
or the full band,
Mm-hmm.
play it as is. Now I'm gonna
Yep.
switch it up. I'm gonna ad lib. I
Yep.
I don't need 6 minutes to do what I
Yes.
feel like I need to do.
Right.
Like
Right.
if this is a song where I feel like I'm really into it, I'm passionate about it, and I want to
Yep.
destroy it, I want to do my vocal acrobatics. Just give me
Thank
the
you.
three
That's
minutes
it.
and 12 seconds. I
Yep.
don't need.
Yep.
And some people
Yep.
need that 8 minutes. Oh, I
Yep.
gotta warm up. No, no, no.
I
I
don't want.
came
I
in
don't hear.
warm. I'm ready to
Nope.
go.
I'm ready
I'm
to
ready to
go.
go.
Yep. I'm ready to go.
So yeah, that's okay. Let's go to Kurt Franklin versus Hezekiah Walker. Who getting you on your feet? That's a hard one.
I know that is a hard one because they both do,
They
but
both do.
each one have their own lane in it though, and so
Mm-hmm.
Hezekiah, I mean, he one growing up on two, listening to because I love the fact that he sticks with choir based
Choirs.
songs. I
Yes.
love bring the
Yes.
choir back.
Bring the
Where's the
choir back.
choirs? I
Yep.
want the choirs to come back. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I love about him. He always got that choir with him. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Kirk Franklin just deals with groups.
But the thing I like
Yeah.
about Kurt Franklin and the groups is what I really like hearing the choir for, and that is
Yes.
the distinction of
Yes.
those notes and the nuances. And everybody has something that they're
Yes.
doing that just blends, right?
True.
It's not stale. It's just like the
Right.
sopranos could be doing this, the
Oh
altos could be doing something else,
yes.
but it all
Yes.
blends.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that there's a difference. There's a lot of nuances there, and it
Yep.
sounds amazing. And it takes
Yep.
people who can sing. Like, just because it's Kurt Franklin don't mean you
Mm-hmm.
cannot be Hezekiah Walker levels kind of singer.
True.
You know
You
what I'm
know,
saying? Like, you still got to be singing if you want to sing
yes.
behind Kirk Franklin, because you
You
about to
better
be doing some
sing.
things.
Yeah. And
But
that's
you
what I
may not move
love.
around as much.
See, that's what I love about Kirk Franklin. What he can do to the vocal, the
Yes.
ranges and the
The arrangements,
dynamics.
yes.
Yes. It's just not to say that Hezekiah don't do it. Now, if you
Hmm.
would have said Hezekiah and Ricky Dillard, oh,
But you can
Ricky Dillard,
substitute. You can
Ricky Dillard,
substitute.
Ricky
Yep.
Dillard,
Yep. I Between Kurt
Ricky
Franklin and
Dillard.
Hezekiah Walker, I am 100% going with Hezekiah Walker,
Yeah,
because it is that it is it, it's the sound.
it
It is the
is.
sound.
Yep,
It's not that,
Hezekiah.
like, Kurt Franklin would definitely make you want to dance.
Yes.
But also I'm not a dancer, so
Yeah,
that ain't for me anyway. I don't
but
need that medicine.
Hezekiah can get you into that
Go
praise and
get you
worship.
on. You gonna be clapping
Yeah,
your hands, your feet gonna be stomping.
man.
You might want to shout after the song.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just he
Yes.
literally. I'm thinking of, and then I'm gonna move on. But
Hmm.
I'm thinking of one of his songs, "Clean." Won't he make
Make
you
you
clean?
clean.
That's the
Hmm.
whole song.
Inside. I know.
That's the whole
Yes.
song.
Yep.
There's no verses. That's the whole. Won't he make you clean? And I was
You
playing
can
that.
listen to it for 10 minutes and still not get tired of it.
I don't
Yep.
never get tired of this. I was
Yep.
listening to it the other day, and I
Mm-hmm.
just turned it on, and Jesus, my son, was
Yep.
literally just dancing. And then he's
See,
like, "Can we play that again?" We played it again. Won't he make you
you
clean? And that
clean,
was it. That's the
and
whole
I'll be like
song.
doing like this,
Exactly.
doing a back head bounce,
And I'm
because it
like,
got that groove to
it's
it.
the groove, it's the
Mm-hmm.
everything, and then you got the choir still doing there and putting out
Yep.
those vocals. So it's like, for somebody to be able to do that, put it on repeat, and still
Yes.
get you on your feet. Come on now,
Come on now.
come on now. Okay,
Next.
I think that was it. I think that was it. I think we
Okay.
missed one category though:
Mm-hmm.
cultural influence.
Okay.
Um, and then we're putting them in context of their day.
Yes.
Did James Cleveland have a bigger cultural influence on his generation, or does Donald Lawrence have a bigger cultural influence on his generation?
James Cleveland had a bigger influence
Hmm.
on his generation. See, back in that day, all they had was Jesus. Even the
Right.
poor had Jesus. So they found there where it was, not to say nobody else is authentic. They had authentic worship. That's
Yeah.
all they know. That's all they knew. Music.
It's
You
from the
know,
heart.
it really was. And like I said, it's that bone chilling, gut wrenching, and that's all they know. Trying to be saved, want to be saved, and trying to be in a church, and it was a different kind of it was, yeah, era. It was a different era.
Mhm. I think um like during James Cleveland
Mm-hmm.
time, like when he was out, there just wasn't as much traffic in his lane
Yeah.
as there is and was with Donald Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
Like Donald Lawrence is coming out with choirs, but we got Hezekiah Walker, we've
Yep.
got Ricky Dillard,
Yep.
and now today even right, we got Vincent Bohannon.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
We
I heard
had the
of that
James
music.
Hall
Mm-hmm.
era.
Yep.
Like
Mm-hmm.
there's the
Mm-hmm.
lane right now for like that authentic take you to church choir
Mm-hmm.
is actually today is quite full
Mm-hmm.
in that space. So if you really want to break out in that particular space, oh, I cannot go on. I'm sorry, I did not mention Kevin Lemons and Higher Calling, the Lord rest his soul.
Okay.
Um, who, I mean, they are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
They are just, these are some amazing singers. They're amazing at what they do in terms of putting the
Yes.
projects together, the sound that they have, and it's the authentic choir
Yes.
worship, the whole nine yards. So I feel like
Yes.
the space right now, it just
Yes.
has a lot more people who are doing
Yes.
the same thing
Yes.
um today, and that's probably the only reason why I feel
Yeah.
like Donald Lawrence is not, while he is a major cultural influence that is
Yes.
undeniable, um
Mm-hmm.
we wouldn't consider him the biggest
Yeah.
cultural influence because there's so
Mm-hmm.
much now that's going on
Mm-hmm.
um that kind of fits that same mold.
Yeah.
So
And there's two individuals that nobody just seems to be forgetting, but I never forget them.
mhm.
One is Alvin Slaughter.
Oh yes.
Yep. And the other one is Ron Canoli.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Yep. If
They
if
definitely get
anybody wants
honorable
to know,
mentions.
yep. If anybody wants to know, or is trying to have a different kind of worship experience,
hmm
go back and listen to them. Go back and
I feel
listen to
like
their music.
yes. The thing about Alvin Slaughter, well, I love him. The only thing I
Mm-hmm.
didn't like about Alvin Slaughter was like
Mm-hmm.
all his music sound the same. It's like as soon as I heard one song, it's almost like the rapper DaBaby.
Oh
Um, you hear one DaBaby record, you've heard all of DaBaby's record.
oh my
It's
Lord
all the
Jesus.
same. It's all
Okay.
the same.
But
And I
but it's
kind of
so
felt that way with
good.
Alvin Slaughter's
Mm-hmm.
records. But the thing
But he was so
is,
good.
his records were so good. And
Good.
although
Mm-hmm.
what was it, Glorify Your Name? No, that wasn't Alvin
Mm-hmm.
Slaughter. What was
Mm-hmm.
the well, two records in particular from Alvin Slaughter that I'm thinking of, while it
Mm.
sounds the same, right? It's got the
Yeah.
same bass line, all of that.
Yeah.
You can sing both of them and
Yeah.
still feel like, oh my God, this song is unique in and of itself. Like this is a reimagined, or what they say, reimagined,
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
version of a different song. And it's
Yeah.
like he will still take you there.
Yeah.
I think the other honorable mention that I want to
Mm-hmm.
make is William McDowell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, as
Yes.
a
Let's
worship
not.
leader,
Mm-hmm.
you can just watch, and
Yes.
William McDowell is also a preacher too, and
Mm-hmm.
I've listened to a couple of his sermons, and
Uh-huh.
when I tell you he go deep. So if you
Mm-hmm.
watch a William McDowell sermon, you better have your notepad ready,
You better.
because he can ready to give you some knowledge. But like he has a way of just taking you right into the presence, like
Right.
giving you what you need. I
Right.
wish I was there for his one of his latest recordings. I'm trying to
Uh-huh.
think of the name, but
Mm-hmm.
um and he remixed one of a popular CCM song that I didn't even know was a CCM. I had never heard it until
Uh-huh.
William McDowell sung it.
Okay.
And then when it was time to sing that at church, I'm like,
Yeah.
why does it sound different? Why y'all not doing the hits and the what's wrong? What your vocals at? I don't hear no soprano. Turn her up. And it's like, that's not the song. We don't go like that. And I'm like, okay, we need to
We
cancel
could,
that.
we need to cancel that.
But yes, he has a way
Mm-hmm.
of definitely taking you into a
Yes.
different place.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Different.
that's it. Okay, any other honorable mentions that you want to make?
Okay, so this would be my last honorable mention, and I know he's been seriously hated and stabbed at in social media because of his choice to do what he did for his New Year's Eve worship service is William Murphy.
Oh, yes. Yes. Well, first of
Them,
all, he from Detroit. So I'm
well,
sorry,
come
but
on,
you
man.
can't get me to hate nobody from Detroit.
But
Sue me.
I still love his music.
Yeah, of
His
course. Of course.
I still love his music. It does capture a worship experience. Despite of what he did and some of the things that he seemed to be slipping. But
Yeah.
pray for him.
Pray
Pray.
for him.
That's all you can do
But
is just
just go
pray
back home and
for him.
listen to There's No Greater Bliss in a Presence Quite Like This. That song takes you in.
Come on now. Come on
That
now.
song
I
takes you,
can't,
you are
we can't,
glorified. You are
we
glorified.
can't,
Like,
yeah, we can't don't throw away none of the music that he
no,
has. But trust me,
absolutely not.
that, when he came out, his songs was coming out, probably every mama in their church had a William
Yes.
Murphy song
Had a
in the
William Murphy
praise and
song.
worship.
And we
So
did the
give him
dance.
credit.
What's his praise is what I
What I
do. Everybody was
do.
singing it. We did it for praise
Days.
dance. We did it for mimes. We did it for baby showers. That song was everywhere.
And it continues to be, everywhere.
Yeah.
Even we fall. We should not stop singing.
Right.
Keep
Yep. I
singing
would agree.
anyhow. Keep singing
I would
anyhow.
agree.
Because if that's what's going to lift you up out of whatever it is you're going through, keep
Hmm.
singing. Keep
My
singing.
honorable mention, my last one,
Mm-hmm.
is Lisa Knowles Smith.
Oh, okay.
She's the
Okay.
quartet girl, but I mean, she sings more
Yes.
than quartet. But
Yes.
oh my god, I
Yes.
cannot get enough of Lisa Knowles Smith and the
Yes.
Brown Singers for like
Yes.
the past week. I don't know, it's just some bug. Like
Yeah.
I've been rewatching all of their
Yes.
videos, and
Mm-hmm.
they're incredible. The
Mm-hmm.
voices, the style, the quartets, and I'm not even
Yeah.
a major quartet fan.
You know what? I am. The one
Hmm.
thing that I don't like about some of these quartets is, first of all, I want to hear your words. I want to hear what you're
I do want to hear
singing.
the words.
I
Yep.
want to hear,
Yep.
you can take a song, you only got one verse, all the
Yeah.
rest of your song is Jesus,
Yeah.
Jesus,
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus. And
Mm-hmm.
some of and then some of them, they get so carried away they use that one line throughout the rest of their song.
That song for a quartet is gonna
Yeah,
last 7 minutes,
yep,
and about 5 minutes of that 7 minute song is
yeah,
gonna be the bridge. It's gonna be
yep.
Jesus, and it's gonna be the lead just doing vocal acrobatics, preaching, shouting the whole
Yeah,
nine
but
yards
I
for
want to
five
hear it.
minutes.
But I want to
Yep.
hear words. But when
Yes.
it's something muffled, you get into a crowd, a church is crowded, a lot of people in there,
Hmm.
and you just going on in on the mic. After a while, I don't hear your words.
I don't hear yours. I'm tired.
I'm like, okay, I'm tired of you now. I just rather let
Yes.
the background sing.
Yes, please, something else.
Yeah,
But she
yeah,
is one like and I feel like that's probably the reason why I have come to just really like Lisa Knowles is because
yes,
all of the records, right? All of the tracks that they're on, that track is lasting
yes,
a while, right? It's going
yeah,
a while.
yeah.
Especially their live performances, they're going a
Mm-hmm.
while. But
Mm-hmm.
she is going different places every
Mm-hmm.
measure. She's
Mm-hmm.
going in a different direction. She's saying
Mm-hmm.
something different. She's doing
Mm-hmm.
something different, like up on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that is like that not only shows talent, but it
Yeah.
shows heart.
Yeah.
It's like Lisa Noel Smith is practicing this at home. Like
Well,
she is
you know
studying the
what?
word of God. Like this
That's
is a
what I've
real
been saying.
relationship.
That's what I was saying. When you are praise and worship leader and praise and worship, those who sing in the background, guess what? You coming out of that background as well, because
Hmm.
all of you gonna have to be on one accord. So whatever the
Yes.
lead goes, you follow,
You
and then the
follow.
lead. Sometimes the lead would have to fall back, and then let those come, come forward. So
Hmm.
it's the dynamic on it, has to be talked about, rehearsed, practice,
Yeah.
or whatever. But if there is no relationship with God, not you that Christian or saint that don't even read the Bible. I don't even know how you don't read the Bible and you call yourself a God. I don't know. I don't know how you
Well,
do that.
yeah.
But you don't have that relationship. You don't have it where you're always going before God Praying helps too. Just praying helps. You
Yeah.
got to have a prayer life. Find some prayer time. They ain't got to be longed out, big words and all of that kind of stuff.
Right.
It's got to be some heartfelt praying.
And that I feel like is the difference. Like you can always
Yeah,
tell those groups and those bands where
yeah.
people can put their ego aside. Like
Big
I don't
eagles.
care how good that I think that I can lead this song.
Yeah.
And trust me, I have sung
Mm-hmm.
in the background
Mm-hmm.
and behind some leaders, and I'm just like, huh?
Again, because I'm
What?
telling you, people, they so haughty, they so big on
So
themselves, their ego is so big. And I could just,
man,
you got to remember, if you're the leader, then you're gonna need somebody to follow you.
follow
And if
you, but
nobody following you, you standing
right,
there by yourself. So I'm
right.
as you messing up and looking goofy and looking dumb and nobody paying attention to you, I'm gonna be in the background with my mic like, go ahead and mess up that song.
I have been shocked. Like I have had
Mm-hmm.
some experiences where I'm just like I don't understand what's happening here.
Yep.
But somebody need to step in and do something. But like I always say this to myself: be the best background singer they ever had.
Exactly. Yep.
Let me tell you, you ain't gonna
Exactly.
find no better one than me. I'm gonna come
Yep.
show up to rehearsal prepared to rehearse
Yep.
and not
Mm-hmm.
learn the song because there's a
Yep.
difference.
Yep.
I'm gonna show up ready to go. And if you
Yep.
tell me, hey, go that way, I'm going that way. Like whatever
Right.
you got to do, I am here to follow you. I'm here to back you
Right.
up, and I'm gonna be one of the best you ever had. That's my
Yep.
goal. Um,
Yep.
but yeah,
Yep.
it's like when you can get people in place where it's like
Yes.
I don't have to be out front. I want to be a part of
I
this.
want to be a part of
I want to
this.
be a part of it. And
Yes.
I will pull my weight and I will be
Yep.
grateful with my
Yep.
little bitty part. I didn't ask for my name to be on the sign anyway, which is
Right.
why y'all didn't get an invoice.
And, and, and I
That's why
come
y'all missing that email.
right. I come to the point. I come to the point where when it comes to praise and worship, I am so serious because if I got a praise and worship leader and they just, you can clearly see they all bought themselves. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit down and say, you be about yourself. Go
You be
ahead.
about yourself.
You go,
Yeah.
you go right ahead. And
Right.
when you're through,
Right.
then the rest
Hmm.
of we can come back. We can come back and do. But
Yeah.
yeah, I can't be a part of something that looks like it's for self. I witnessed one young lady and she just singing, and nobody moving, nobody clapping their hand, nobody doing this, and she looked like she had a temper tantrum right there. If ain't
Mm.
y'all ain't gonna sing, I'm just gonna sing it. I'm gonna praise the Lord. I'm gonna give him praise. And I was like, I sat down.
If one more worship leader while you trying to sing your song and we
Mm-hmm.
not interested, if you accuse us of being in the flesh
Mm-hmm.
one more time,
One more time.
if I just hear one more, get
One more
out your
time.
flesh. I'm not in my flesh. I'm trying to be in my spirit.
Yeah.
You distracted me
You distracted me.
because this is ridiculous.
It
I'm
really
watching a
is.
train wreck.
Yeah.
I'm
And
trying to be in the
choose,
spirit.
yeah. First of all, choose, what type of audience that
You
you're
have.
working with. Yeah.
Yep.
That see coming into the church. And you know the type of songs that you all like, uh, 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 genres of gospel music that seems to works well. Find out what everybody's listening to. That would help you
Right.
for one. What's kind of popular? If all else fails, go back to some of that old school stuff that they
They
so
always work.
familiar with.
It
It,
always work.
it always worked. Be mindful of the songs that you coming to singing for praise and worship. If nobody's getting it, if you just seeing it, nobody's reacting to it, they can't get with it. Why can't
Right.
you read the room? Read the
Read the room.
room.
And there is a
Mm-hmm.
thing, and I will say this, like there sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's not the song,
Mm-hmm.
it's you.
It's you.
And you
Yes.
have to be like your pride has to come down. Your ego
Sure
has to come
enough.
down and you have to
Sure enough.
realize number 1 you don't need to lead every song. And
Yep.
number 2, you can't lead every song. So just
That's
because it's popular and
true.
we all want to hear it,
That's
you
true.
may not be the best to like bring
Yeah.
that forward in a way. Like I
Yeah.
have been behind I saw this remember Ernest
Yeah.
Pugh. I thought about this the other day because
Yeah.
Ernest Pugh is in the top of the charts.
Yeah.
But his song Rain
Rain
on
on
us,
us.
breathe on
Yes.
us, shower down. I,
Yes.
I had heard that at this church that I had went
Mm-hmm.
to. I had heard that
Mm-hmm.
song by the worship leader, and the house was dead. And I
Well,
was
they was tired
disappointed.
of it. Oh, that's
I
another
was
thing we haven't talked
disappointed
about.
because
Yeah. They
that's
were
true.
tired of it.
People will get tired of it.
They
And,
tired of it.
I was
Mm-hmm.
disappointed because that's a powerful song.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I feel like in the worship atmosphere, you're singing that song. You like that's a very powerful song. So I was kind
Mm-hmm.
of disappointed. I'm like, well, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
Yeah.
when they had invited me to sing at the same church that I would not name, but they had
Yeah.
invited me to sing at this church, and they
Mm-hmm.
wanted me to sing that song.
Yep. And what
Well, I
happened?
sing that song, and the crowd is just up.
They were sick of the person that was singing it.
And
Yep.
so the
Mm-hmm.
pastor, and that's not something I said. The pastor, like when I was talking to him after the service, he was breaking it down and explaining to me. He was like, "Now that song was really worried about because the crowd, like our church really hasn't reacted to that song well."
Yeah.
And he's like, "This is the first time they have reacted to that song well."
Mm-hmm.
And I had asked, I was like, "Well, who's leading it?" Blah blah blah. He was like, "The person's leading it." And I was like, "Well, that's the problem. Like
Yep.
sometimes you may not be the best to
Yep.
lead that song, and that's
Yep.
okay. Like you
It's
got to be able to say,
okay.
step
Yep.
back. There are some Israel Houghton songs that I can blow, and then
Yeah.
there are others where he be going up to the rafters. And, I'm not
That's
singing. I
not for
can't.
that's not for
That's
me.
not for me. That's not for
Yep.
me. Now you can call anybody else."
Yep. And
And I would sing
listen.
background, but you got to be humble enough to be able to say, "Let
Yep.
me step back."
Yeah, so you have to be able to, like I said, read the room, because there
Mhm.
is a such thing as praise and worship leader burnout. They are
There
so
is.
burnt out from hearing you. You sit down and let somebody else
Let
lead.
somebody,
Why
please,
you
because there
got
are
to do
other
it every?
people who are
Yeah,
talented and who are called
and qualified.
and
Mm-hmm.
qualified.
Yes,
And I always think it's important that no, it's not about you. You don't have to lead every song. You
correct.
can step back. You can allow other people. If you
Yes,
have major recording artists leading
yes,
churches, but not leading their own worship team,
yep.
you can sit down. That's
You
how
can
I
sit
feel
down.
about it. If
Yep,
William McDowell can hire people to sing for him on Sundays and he never get up and sing a song, if he
yep,
can do that,
yep.
all the rest of us can do that. Because you
Right.
can't tell me you got a better worship leader than William McDowell.
Let me tell you how bad it got. When I started going to her church, and I noticed during the service, during the praise and worship service in particular, beginning of the service, there's a whole lot of people sitting in the parking lot. And then I would go time after time after time, and I had asked, why is these people always in the parking lot? And they was like, they don't want to hear the praise and worship team. They getting tired of the praise, those are praise and worship team, because they'll drag that praise and worship. They'll have one song and it'd be 20 minutes long, sometimes 30, and it's just a repeat, and they'll make stuff up as they go along.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, what's the like?
It's
I can't.
instead of a worship set, it's a jam session.
It's a jam session.
We don't need that. Well, I think that's a good place to end that.
Yeah,
There's definitely some words of
that's
encouragement
it.
for people.
Mm-hmm.
If you are leading worship, if you're interested in leading worship, I really like this discussion because we were able to really talk about a lot of the things that
Yes.
not only worship leaders face, but what we face in the crowd too. But of course, we know
Mm-hmm.
that it's not all bad. That if you are called to do this, that you can have an amazing time. That God will put you in places and in spaces where you are really using your gift. You are really impactful and it's fun. Like it can actually be fun. It
It
can be
really
fulfilling.
can.
I would
Mm-hmm.
not be leading worship as long as I have if it wasn't. So
Mm-hmm.
it can definitely be that way. Definitely check out my mom and all her social media pages. Again, those links are in the description. Mom, thank you for having the discussion with me today and
Yes.
laughing it up about some of the artists here. Before we go, is there just
Mm-hmm.
one last thing, one last word of encouragement you want to
Mm-hmm.
encourage maybe somebody who is worship leading, thinking about worship leading, or serving at in some capacity on a worship team?
Now, if you thinking about being a part of a praise and worship team, make yourself be known. Go to the pastor, go to whoever leading, who's overseeing that particular part of the. We used to call them department back in my days, but
Mm-hmm.
go to that person, let them know that you are interested, and be present. Always be present. And so,
Mm-hmm.
when you show up, get active, try to encourage the praise and worship team. So when you become part of the praise and worship team, you first of all take whatever advice or whatever they want you to do, take it slow,
Oh
and
yeah.
let God just use you. Always remember, you have respect for everybody. Have
Mm-hmm.
respect, but when you start seeing some red flags, talk about it. Don't just bypass it and then
Right.
gossip about it. Talk about it, bring it to the attention of whoever oversees whatever, the pastor, and those who is in the part of the music ministry. Because you got to remember, you're doing it for God. You're not doing it
Mm-hmm.
for yourself. If God has
Right.
equipped you, you can't sit on your gift. You can't sit on it.
That part. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
take the leap. If you're still on the sidelines, you're thinking about, I don't know if I'm good enough. I don't know if I'm. There have been many people that are good enough, but that don't
Mm-hmm.
serve because they
Yep.
don't have the heart of a servant.
That's true.
And what people are looking for in worship team members and worship leaders
Mm-hmm.
is people who have both the talent and the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's very hard to find. Talent you can always work on. I can
Mm-hmm.
always challenge you to do something different, to be something different, to go somewhere
Right.
different, to think about it differently.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard for me to work on your heart.
Mm-hmm.
So when God has
That's
worked on
true.
your heart, and
That's true.
your heart has really been pruned by God, and you're ready to operate in that space, then I definitely say go ahead and approach it and just take a leap forward. There was a guy, ironically, today,
Mm-hmm.
the day of this recording, that I just met at a track meet,
Mm-hmm.
and he was like, I'm thinking about singing. He was like, I want to sing. I'm an artist and I write music, and I'm thinking about doing it. And I said, what's holding you back? He was like, I want to make sure I got all the things together.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this podcast is probably the only part where I was like, I need everything together before I jumped.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else in life has just been like, I've learned that you
Mm-hmm.
just make the first move,
That's
everything will
it.
fall in place.
That's
It
it.
won't sound good. And the
That's it.
beautiful thing about starting somewhere and starting
Mm-hmm.
small and starting in hiding is that you get to mess up. You get to
Mm-hmm.
fail, and that's great. You get to
That's great.
learn from that failure. You
Mm-hmm.
get, because when you
That's
reach a
it.
level of success, you no
Mm-hmm.
longer get to fail.
That's it.
Any artist you
That's it.
know on the radio that you
Mm-hmm.
listen to on Spotify, any artist you know, they do not have the opportunity anymore to mess up.
Mm-hmm.
If they do one bad show, you're never
Mm-hmm.
buying their album again. You're never going to their concert again.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start off in a place of obscurity or what seems like obscurity,
Mm-hmm.
allow God to work on you there. So
Mm-hmm.
challenge yourself, push yourself. I remember the small church we went to, and it was small, but I
Mm-hmm.
remember going down there on Saturdays or staying after church on Sundays. Everybody going
Mm-hmm.
home,
Mm-hmm.
and I would just put on the record and go up there and sing and lead worship as if there
That's
was
it.
people in the room. The whole
Yep.
time I'm hitting bad notes, I'm singing it
Mm-hmm.
wrong, I'm stretching, but I had to do that in order to figure out what my voice sounds like and be comfortable
Mm-hmm.
in my voice.
Mm-hmm.
So that way, when there was people in those seats, I
Mm-hmm.
was able to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's important that you fail while nobody's watching and be grateful
Yep.
about it,
Yep.
because when
Yep.
people start watching, you won't be able to do that. But then
Right.
again, you won't need to do that. You've already passed that part. You're
Right.
already graduated from those steps. So
Right.
that's something to take, definitely, to just go for it. Thank you, Mom, for being able to join this
You welcome,
podcast.
baby.
It is almost Mother's Day, so I'm excited to celebrate all the moms
Mm-hmm.
out there. Matter of fact, share this podcast with your mom.
Right.
Share it with your mama.
Right.
And what I really hope people
Mm-hmm.
see is the
Mm-hmm.
value of having a praying mama
Mm-hmm.
in the family, the
Yep.
value of having somebody who's praying for you, who's supporting you, who is not putting you down, but
Right.
who is lifting you up.
Right.
And in areas where you are showing the way, I really
Mm-hmm.
hope people see that as well. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
not just saying, go do that, be great, but
Mm-hmm.
in areas that you operate in, you're trying to do the same thing as
Right.
well.
Right.
And so I really appreciate that, and I hope other people be
Mm.
able to see that. So I'll be
Yeah.
back next week with a new episode. So be sure to tune in every Friday. There's a new episode that drops, and I'm just excited to be having more conversations like this. In the
Mm-hmm.
meantime, stay up with the gospel music, stay up on your praying, stay up on your reading the
Yes.
word, watch more content up on this channel and other channels that I have. You'll see links in the description below. You can click around the screen to be able to see more information. And I will see you in the next episode.